you all to not be boring. That's the only promise that I can make. And I will say that this presentation is not an hour long. It's actually a brief one, giving the overview. Let me see if I can do it this way. I might want to duplicate them. Switch the screens. Duplicate the Here we go. We got ones in the chat. Fantastic, fantastic. All right. So, of course, we're here today for the public hearing for the City of Memphis 2023 disparity study. In this first part of the meeting, I'm simply going to go over what's this study, what's the purpose, what are some of the dynamics, and then how can you stay involved, right? At the second half of the meeting, I stop talking, or at least stop talking as much, and get from you all your perspectives, your experiences, both positive and negative, doing business with the City of Memphis or attempting to do business with the City of Memphis. That's where it gets fun. That's why we're here. And of course, as it pertains to our research, it's a really vital part of the process. So thank you again for showing up. But let's get into it. So about Griffin & Strong, we are a law and public policy consulting firm based in Atlanta, Georgia. Over 30 years of experience, and no study of ours has ever been challenged or overturned in court. Why would I bring up court as soon as we start the meeting? Is because that actually is what dictates this industry, right? The law and what the court decisions have been throughout the years dictate how we operate in order to make recommendations to cities, counties, state governments, and federal agencies across the country, so that we can ensure that their studies are protected and their programs, as they aim to increase equitable outcomes for business owners, can be solid. And so our firm specializes in disparity study research, contract compliant programs, development training, supplier diversity training, and consulting. And of course, not to brag, but we do have the most qualified team in the industry, including Juris Doctors, 5 of them, 2 PhD economists, PhD in social psychology, a PhD in public policy, and a PhD in anthropology. To start, I didn't even do that, but I want to not be rude. My name is Austin Broussard. I'm the project manager and primary point of contact for this study. I have an MBA, just finished last year, and I'm really excited, of course, to be back with Griffin & Strong in this work. It's a fantastic space to be in, and your input as business owners is part of what drives my decision to remain engaged fully in this space. It's really a fantastic space to be. So I want to let you all know that even beyond the team that we just mentioned, you all are in good hands, right? The project executive, Rodney Strong, is a native of Memphis, Tennessee, which is important, right, when it comes to understanding the local landscape, policy, history, et cetera. But not just beyond his qualification of being from Memphis, right? He's got unmatched expertise and is really an industry expert, a titan of the industry. When it comes to his history, he served as director of City of Atlanta's Department of Contract Compliance. He was the project manager on the first study after the Supreme Court said that, hey, this stuff has to be based in legal fact and empirical facts, and we'll talk about that in a second. And of course, he was the principal architect that helped design the City of Atlanta's MWBE contracting program, which really serves as a blueprint for how other cities in the country do this at the highest level. And of course, when it comes to part of our research, another key portion of our research, we have Dr. Vince Egan, who's our principal investigator, who's done over 150 disparity studies and been an expert witness 6 different times. So what is a disparity study? Simply put, it's an objective research tool. It determines whether or not there are disparities in a governmental agency's procurement process. And it determines if those disparities are statistically significant, which is really important along the lines of race and gender status of the firm owners. The findings of the study would result in recommendations by the study team to remedy the disparities found. Right? The recommendations, if accepted, are intended to be implemented as policy, which means we're turning it into help the actual City of Memphis turn this into policy that goes on the books that can help create infrastructure or support around their contracting program beyond just recommendations on the page. So when I talked about the legal basis, right, on the very first slide, it comes from this. Right, in 1989, there was a Supreme Court decision, City of Richmond versus J.A. Croson. And then later in 1995, there's Adaran Structures versus Pena. Out of these cases, really 4 primary points became important and relevant as it pertains to this work. The court said that there is now strict scrutiny for race-based programs, meaning there's a higher level of scrutiny. And the next, as you see on the page, the next level is intermediate scrutiny for gender-based programs. It essentially means things are going to be looked at with a fine-tooth comb, and the proof has to be there. And so the second point actually follows that there must be a factual basis in evidence for any of the program's details. And then thirdly, the methodology has to be dictated by case law. And so the work that we do, the research that we do, and the effort that we are compiling is literally a response to decisions made through the courts over the years. And finally, they must have a narrowly tailored remedy to avoid over or under inclusion, meaning our recommendations, our remedies have to be based in something that we found in the research, which is why it's so important that you all are here and giving your perspectives this evening, or this afternoon, I should say. So just quickly in the methodology and approach, there are 10 different things on this page. I'll walk through them quickly. It will not take all day, but it's important to highlight the different segments of the project. So first, legal analysis, of course, you've got to understand what are the laws, what creates the legal environment in which we're doing this study, right? What are the applicable laws and what has to be followed? The second is the policy. So policy of the actual city of Memphis, what's on the books? Is there a gap between what's on the books and how it's implemented? There's a review. We interview members of the city of Memphis and take our legal team and our research team, Dr. Vince Egan and the rest, and get into the policy review. Next, we collect them, we clean the data. So all of the spend, all the transactions, the awards, the contracts over in this period, this study, I believe, is a 5-year period. We look at all that stuff and help the city make sense of what the details of their behavior has been, and then help them drive answers toward how they can improve, right? There's a relevant market analysis ensuring that we're studying the area where Memphis actually spends their dollars, city of Memphis actually spends their dollars. Utilization and thresholds, utilization, who actually got the dollars, right? Who's winning the contracts, and the threshold, like what was their capacity within those, what are the levels within that spending? And then for availability, who could have gotten those dollars? What does the universe of ready, willing, and able contractors look like? There's a disparity analysis that says, is there a statistically significant gap between the utilized, those who are winning, and those who could have, and those who were available to win or to be included in this contract during the process? Eighth, there's the private sector analysis. So the court decisions say you can evaluate the private sector to see if there are private sector barriers to contractors that would still like to participate in the city of Memphis, including the credit markets and other elements of the private sector that can affect the contractor's ability to do business. Anecdotal evidence collection and analysis, and that includes, of course, today, the public hearing, making sure that we hear from you and really engage from the survey perspective, the public hearing, the public information meeting, anecdotal interviews, focus groups, all sorts of different ways that we collect the anecdotal evidence. And lastly, the final report with findings and recommendations, where we are actually making recommendations to the city of Memphis based, again, on information that we found in our research. So here are the elements of ways in which how the community can remain engaged. We just mentioned all of the different ways. The only one that I didn't mention on the previous slide was the business, civic, and trade organization meetings and email comments. So if there are organizations that you all are a part of that represent business owners in the area, I would love to interview and engage them so that we can talk about what the experiences actually are, where some of the highlights and where some of the barriers are, and really get into what some of the answers can be. As far as the findings and recommendations, the final chapter of the report summarizes the unique findings of each chapter, those chapters that are listed on the previous pages. It formulates and presents recommendations to the city of Memphis that can be race and gender neutral, and if supported by the evidence, race and gender based remedies. So the study's predicted timeline, of course, you've got started in the summer of 2022, set to end right here in the summer of 2023. But here's where we are in the process. The survey is open. I will make sure to drop it in the chat. I'm not going to beg, but I am going to ask in earnest, right, that we do complete that survey. If you're getting the emails, or even if you have time today, we've got an hour reserved. And if you finish 5 minutes early, I will implore you to actually complete it, because that creates an empirical nature of our anecdotal evidence. So that's not just, oh, we heard one person say this, but instead can be the business community is saying X, Y, or Z. And here is an example in the numbers based on the survey data, right? So how can the public get involved? Of course, you can participate in any of the anecdotal interviews that were already completed, survey of business owners, which you have the opportunity to complete today, and then focus groups, of course, which you'll be reached out to, randomly selected list. But if you are contacted for a focus group, please do respond at least. And of course, it would be ideal if you can attend, because your candid feedback is really important. And of course, you all are already doing the other part, which is attending a public hearing and providing your input. So after today, right, here's how you can stay involved. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, tweet us, right, if you're engaged in social media. Or you can visit us at the Memphis Disparity Study website at memphisdisparitystudy2023.com for information, details about upcoming meetings, etc. or you can email your comments. Now, you don't have to write this stuff down. I'm going to drop it in the chat as well. Or you can email your comments to us, right, at Memphis Study 2023 at gspclaw.com. Whew. So that was a lot. All right, we started right at 12:07, 12:08, and in 10 minutes, I covered a lot of information, but I wanted to make sure to provide the genuine overview, right, of what is involved in this study process before breaking into the second half of the meeting, which is the public hearing, where the floor is going to be completely yours, right? So I have to read through this script. So I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to breathe. I have to read through this script just to set the scene and some general housekeeping as we get ready for the second half of the meeting. But the purpose really of this hearing is to hear your candid testimony about your experiences, both positive and negative, doing business with the city of Memphis or attempting to do business with the city of Memphis. And everything said during this hearing will be available for public record, but GSPC's final report will not publish the names, business names, or other affiliations of individuals who give testimony. And we're not soliciting questions during this portion of the meeting, right, but commentary only. Additionally, I won't be responding to your questions or commentary other than to try to gain additional clarity to your comments. So when it comes to the public comments, when providing these comments, please begin by stating your name and your business name clearly for the record before beginning your testimony. All right. So I'm going to actually pull up our list. All right. Now that I can see it, who would actually like to share? All right. Who wants to? You can just come off mute. You can raise your hand, but it's really important that we get your feedback.
I'll go first.
Okay.
My name is Amanda. I'm sorry. My name is Amanda Crawley. Oh, okay. My name is Amanda Crawley, and I'm from and I'm the founder of Triv Life Outreach of Tennessee. And I do both clinical and non-clinical, meaning that I do my clinical part was COVID testing, and I can do vaccinations. My non-clinical is I work with I don't work. I volunteer at places. I guess for behavior, I'll say for behavior, social activities. I help them with social activities. And okay, on both sides, I've never tried to do business with Memphis, never. But here in Tennessee, on both sides, with the COVID, it was hard for me to get reimbursed for COVID drives and the COVID drives that I organized. I did not get reimbursed. That was the problem. And then and then with the other thing I do, which is help people with social events, help people with events. I don't get paid for it because it's volunteer. So it's like a no-win situation on both sides.
Got it. And you're saying that's not with the city of Memphis. I want to make sure that I'm clear on who.
No, it's not with. I've never done business with the city of Memphis. Never,
okay.
Never.
Okay. Got it. And so what entity were you working with where you're saying they were slow on the payment? Or
well, I guess it was pretty much mine. What happened was I lost my husband, and I lost my husband in June 2020, and then I got a clear license, and I was able to do in 2021, and I was able to do COVID testing. So it was almost like I was on my own doing COVID testing. And then when I just never, I never received any reimbursement. I did receive free tests, but as far as reimbursement, I never received reimbursement from Nashville. And when it was time, it was the funding was done. So it was kind of like everything was, and I don't know if it was my fault. I don't, I'm not blaming anybody. I just stepped up when I needed to, but I'm just telling you what the problem was here.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I could do a quick question now. You mentioned that you haven't done business with the city of Memphis. Has there been a barrier, or are there reasons why you haven't done business with the city of Memphis?
Actually, no, I just started getting emails from Memphis recently, and I did not know that I was, I didn't know I was on you all's, I guess I didn't know I could do business with Memphis. I just didn't know that. So if I'd have known that, I would have been traveling, because that's actually what I do. I travel I travel, but I'm actually a blood service, really. I mean, it started out as a blood service. It's called Grab a Lab, but I wear many hats. I got DBAs everywhere, but it was called Grab a Lab, and so that's a blood service. So that's what I intended to do at first until COVID hit, and then when COVID hit, that's when I went full into COVID. And I am a pandemic vaccine provider also, so I can provide that. But my thing is I'm not a nurse, so I have to pay nurses, and I can't go full into that and not be able to pay. It got me, it broke me. I'm gonna just say that. I'm gonna just say it broke me.
Okay, got it. I really appreciate you taking the time to explain that and provide the additional clarity, because again, it's helpful as we understand the environment in which we're doing business, what the
Okay.
business owners' experiences are. So I appreciate that. And so it's Amanda Crawley. And what was the name of your business again?
Tree of Life Outreach of Tennessee.
Got it. Tree of. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Would anyone else like to, again, share? You can just come off mute, you can raise your hand. And again, don't forget to shoot those text messages or emails out to your business network if you have someone who would like to or would need to be in a meeting like this to share their experiences having done business with the city of Memphis or attempting to. But for those that are here right now, right, who would like to come off mute, you're welcome to. I see a hand with Gwendolyn. Would you please come off mute and share your public comment?
Yes. So